I feel like I can never tell if the lighting in these videos like is good or bad. I'm also always for some reason filming right when the sun has started going through this sun catcher, and so it's just like I'm just gonna have green on my face. It's fine. I'll just be back here. From back here you can't tell how oily my bangs are, so that's like ideal. Maybe you can. Anyway, howdy. My friend asked me the other day what I felt like I had learned in writing my first book and what like lessons I was gonna take into writing my second book. And for some reason my inclination was like, nothing! I've learned nothing! But I don't think that's true. I don't know why that's my inclination, to be like, I don't know anything. Everything is just guesswork. It's not true. I did learn some things. So I'm coming here today to tell you the, not one, not two, not three, I got an email, but 5 things that I learned writing my first book that I'm going to take into writing my second book and all of the books beyond. So, thing 1, write your query before you've written your book. It doesn't have to be literally before you've written a single word, but writing your query before you have written the book in its entirety is very helpful, and this is why. You're going to have to write a query or a 2-sentence pitch at some point if you want to publish your book. Even if you're self-publishing, you're gonna have to figure out how to write a 2-sentence pitch. Maybe I could make a different video going through what like a whole query looks like, but part of the meat of a query is the part where you give kind of like the back of the book description of your book. It's gonna be like, I think I've heard people say it's supposed to be the first third or the first couple chapters of your book. Those are 2 very different sizes, but one of them is correct. If you wait until your whole book is written, it's going to feel impossible to distill every little thing that's happening in your book down to like 1 to 2 sentences, or when it comes to a query, down to like 2 small paragraphs. And if you're like me, when you're starting a new book, you're basically kind of just chasing down a cool concept anyway. You don't have every single detail figured out. Just do yourself a favor and write that concept down. I looked through my phone. It's a picture of my girlfriend. And I found the first couple sentences I'd written down about my book, and I'll read them to you. Now, character A is a swordswoman who needs to win this tournament for some reason. Character B is a question mark who also needs to win it, and they enter together because it's a partnership thing. This is a terrible pitch for a book, but now that I'm like 20,000 words in my book, and I kind of have a better idea of what's going on, I was able to take these 2 basic sentences and write a better pitch, just like plugging in the information I now know. So let's say we have this original thing that I've written, now let's kind of move it on over to, I plugged the information in. It would read, 17-year-old Ox is a swordswoman from a magic-poisoned village who enters a tournament that promises the prize of fertile land free from magic. Larkspur is her childhood frenemy. They have to work together to win. This is still a bad pitch, but at least it's like it's one step closer. It's not the worst pitch in the world. So now that we're on the second step, if we just edit it one more time, it would read something like, Ox lives in her village, safe from the magic poisoned wilds, until the day she's invited to battle in a mysterious tournament. The prize? A piece of land untouched by magic. Sword fighting comes easy to Ox, but it's going to take a lot more than skill to win. That's like not bad. I mean, not to honk my own horn. That's not how that phrase works. But like, we've gone from this unusable nonsense jumble of words, something that's okay, not bad, to something that's pretty usable in like 3 edits. And it's because I'm just really touching on the very core concept that made me want to write this book, and instead of like having written all 90,000 words and like I'm painstakingly trying to figure out how to distill this whole ass book into 2 sentences. Now basically you would do the exact same thing for the query. I'm gonna put up on the screen, maybe over here, maybe underneath, the first query I wrote for this book that I'm currently working on, which is literally just like, okay, this is maybe what my query might look like. I'm gonna give you a second to read it. It's not very good because it's nonsense. It's just a bunch of nonsense words because I didn't know what my book was going to be about. But now, again, I'm a couple chapters into my book. I have a better idea of what it's going to look like. This is what my revised query now looks like. Bam. Again, I'm not saying this is the perfect query, but because I did the work beforehand, before I got in over my head, it was really easy to be like, oh, okay, this is actually the core concept of what I'm talking about. Bang, bang, boom. Delicious. All right, the second thing I have learned, now that I have drilled into your head that you should write your query early, I'm also going to tell you that you should write your synopsis early. And when I say you, I guess I mean me. Me from the past. So Sasha from the future, I'm telling you from the past, you should have written your synopsis while you were writing your book. This might not apply so much to people who are like hardcore outliners, but I don't relate to you. Maybe like basically when you're outlining, you're already writing the synopsis of your book. I don't understand you. This is for people like me who spend the first 20,000 words just kind of feeling things out and then finally understand what we're doing. If you don't write your synopsis while you're writing your book, there's going to be some nice agent or some pitch competition that you're trying to enter that's going to ask you for a one-page synopsis of your book, and you are going to be up till 2 a.m. crying because you cannot possibly think on how to distill down what happens in your book. There's too much. Give yourself a break, start early, write down what you think is going to happen in your book. Even if it changes, at least then you'll have like a good 1 to 2 pages of these are the events of my book. Doesn't have to be super duper intense, especially because some people will want 1 page, some people will want 2 pages. When I did my first Twitter pitch event, an editor liked one of my pitches and they asked for a full synopsis, and I couldn't figure out what that meant. So I literally wrote like a blow-by-blow 8-page single-space summary of my book, and I feel like that should have just been an auto-rejection because who was going to read that? For the record, I feel like a 2.5-page synopsis should be enough. So if you do have those first, 1 to 2 pages written out from the very beginning, then you're golden. Life hack, bro. Well, life hack your work by doing it earlier. Okay, moving on. Enough of me yelling at you, telling you that you need to write things. The third thing that I learned is actually just kind of like a general practice that I am going to try and carry with me, which is the practice of setting aside time to write. I feel like that's very basic. Like literally everyone is going to be telling you like, well, to write, you just need to write, which is true, unfortunately. For almost a year now, from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., that is my writing hour. That is the space that I have set aside to do writing. Does that mean that when it's 9 p.m., I always go and write? No, I'm not gonna be like, I'm sorry guys, I have to get home. Like, I'm not letting this rule my life, but just having this space that I can be like, oh, it's 9 p.m. Well, I'm sitting at home playing a video game. I can put my game away and go and write. Having this space that is mine, that I know that's what I'm supposed to be doing, that like I'm protective of, has been very helpful. And so this is a practice I'm going to take forward and that I would kind of encourage that you do as well. I know that not everyone has the time to put aside time, but even if it's like from 9 to 9:10, those are the 10 minutes a day where I am going to write something. Those are your 10 minutes, and that's great. Because literally kind of tying into this, another thing that I've realized is that to write a book, you just have to write. Like, that's it. Even if it's a word a day, eventually, word by word, you will finish your book. It'll take a long time if you do it that slow, but that's fine. Like, there's no rush, especially if it's your first book and you're just figuring things out. You're not on deadline. It's kind of like the best space that you can be in. Getting to the end here, fourth lesson that I learned writing my first book that I'm taking into my second is there's no perfect first draft. I feel like again, it's one of those things that everyone knows. It's like, of course, the thing that you write isn't going to be perfect right away, but I do feel like I've talked to people who are like, well, I can't start writing until I know exactly what I'm doing and nothing will change after that. And I just don't it's not realistic. Like, even the most powerful outliners will tell you, like, things in your book are going to change. So just chill. Just like, this mentality has let me just kind of like see my writing time and especially my first draft as just like kind of a nice time where I can listen to music and just let my hands take over. My lesson is please calm down. And lesson 5, I think my battery's gonna die in a second. Maybe I can make this. If I don't, I'm sorry. Tension is important in a book. This is such a stupid lesson to learn because like now that I know it, I'm like, of course tension is important in a book. It's what makes people read. But to me, I was just like, a book is when things happen. I'm not wrong. A book is when things happen. Not every book has to have incredible tension, but you do want it sometimes. And I think especially going through drafts of my first book, like making a map or like making notes of like, is tension building in this scene? Is this a moment of great tension? Has been very helpful because it seems so obvious, but yeah, tension is important. Tension is what is going to like keep people turning the page. That's my life lesson to future me. Gotta think about what's happening in your book in regards of, is it exciting? Are there other forces at play? Is there tension? So I hope those lessons were helpful to you, maybe. I don't know. If they were, you can give me a little thumbs up or subscribe to my channel for other writing, cooking, reading, adjacent stuff. I was literally so close to finishing this video before my camera dying, but it's okay. I'm excited to see what lessons I'm going to learn in my second book that I'm gonna bring into my third book, and just keep learning and keep growing as a writer. If you're also a writer and you see this video, I'd be really interested in learning what lessons you've learned writing your first book or your third book or your fourth book or however many books you've written, you very talented individual, in the comments below. It's been lovely chatting with you all, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye!